Hi guys, welcome back to Potential Webcode. In this video, we'll create a shopping cart project. Let's dive in and explore the features before we start the code. First things first, let's talk about the logo on the left side of the navbar. As you can see, it's prominently placed to ensure brand visibility. Now, moving over to the right side of the navbar, you'll find the key menus Profile and Shopping Cart. The background and text colors change when we hover. The cart menu also displaying the initial number of products in the cart. Below the navbar, we've got our main layout. The product section is on the left, and the shopping cart is on the right. Watch what happens when I click the cart icon in the navbar. The shopping cart toggles between showing and hiding, and the product section expands when the cart is hidden. Cool, right? Now, let's zoom in on the product section. Each product cart features a vibrant image with a blue background, the product title, price, and an inviting add to cart button. Hover over the button, and boom, the colors change, giving you that responsive feel. It's also applied to other products. Moving on the right side, we have title of cart. Currently, our shopping cart is empty. You'll see a friendly image letting you know there are no products yet. Below, we have the price calculation and a checkout button ready for action. Let's add a product to the cart. Click the Add to Cart button and watch the magic happen. The empty cart image transforms into the product details. We see the product image, name, price, and quantity. The total price updates instantly. Changing the quantity is a breeze. As we adjust the number of products, the total price for that product updates in real time. The affixes also impact to the overall total price at the bottom of the cart. Additionally, the cart icon in the navbar updates to show the new total number of items in the cart. So if we added one more item, the number on the cart icon would increase accordingly, giving you a quick overview of the items without needing to open the cart. Let's add another product to the cart. Just like before, the cart icon in the navbar updates right away to reflect the additional items, ensuring everything stays in sync. It's also synced perfectly if we decrease the total product items on the cart. Need to remove a product? No problem. Just click the remove icon next to the product and it's gone. The cart will automatically update to reflect the change, with the total price recalculating and the number on the cart icon adjusting accordingly. If we remove all products, the cart will go back to showing the empty image, letting us know the cart is empty again. And here's the cherry on top. Our shopping cart is fully responsive. Whether you're on a desktop or mobile device, the layout adjusts perfectly for a seamless user experience. All the functionalities that work on the desktop view will also work smoothly on smaller views like tablets and smartphones. You can add, update, and remove products, and the cart will dynamically adjust and display the correct information, no matter the screen size. And that's a wrap. We've covered all the dynamic functionalities of our shopping cart. Now that we've seen how it all works, let's start coding it. Stick around, and let's dive into the development process step by step. Firstly, open your preferred code editor. I'm using Visual Studio Code for this tutorial. Inside our project folder, we'll have an images folder to store product images, an app.js file for JavaScript functionality, an index file for our main page, and a style.css file for our styles. Now, let's start coding with HTML. We'll set up the basic structure of our index.html file first. Let's change the title to responsive shopping cart page. Next, we will link the external CSS file, so we can apply styles to the HTML document. To make our text not look plain and boring, let's add some stylish fonts using Google Fonts. So, we are going to fonts.google.com on the browser. Then we are searching for Lato font. And click it. We can see there's a lot type of style for Lato font. To get the link of the code, we click the embedded code here. We will choose Lato style for regular 400 and bold 700. Then let's copy this embedded link and paste to our HTML file. Now, we will add font awesome for our icon. So, let's go back to browser, and we find the link of the font awesome from cdns.com. We will use font awesome 6.4.2. Let's copy this link and paste to HTML file. Now, we already done link the font and icon to our HTML file. Now let's start by testing the HTML file by add text test to body part. We can see the test appears perfectly on the browser. Now, let's move to our style.css file to define our colors and reset the default CSS styles. First, we define CSS variables for consistent color usage throughout the project. We define 7 variables of colors. Next, we apply a universal CSS reset to remove margins, paddings, and outline styles. By setting margin to 0, padding to 0, box sizing to border box, and outline to none. Then we set the body part by set the width to 100%, minimum height to 100 VH, to ensure the entire viewport height is covered. Change font to Lato. And sets the body background color to yellow color, using variable that we already defined above. Now, let's see the result on the browser. We can see the background color already changed to yellow, and there is no padding and margin. Now, back in our index.html file, let's remove the placeholder text, test from the body. Let's define the component structure that we will build by set as comment. Next, let's start with the navbar part. Let's add the HTML code for our navbar section inside the navbar div. The navbar contains the logo and menu buttons for user and cart interactions. We will set logo using h to tag. We name the logo as product cart. Next, we add menu using div tag. Inside the menu, we add 2 buttons. The first button for profile. So, we set the class name of the first button as menu user. And insert icons that represent the user. The second button will be the cart. It will trigger our cart later. So, we name the class of the second button to menu cart. We add icon from font awesome that represent the shopping cart. And we also add cart count using span tag. Later, this will help to show the update number of product on our cart. We will set the number to 0. Now, let's see what this navbar code look like on the browser. We can see the title and 2 buttons already show on our page. Next, let's move to our style.css file to add styles for our navbar section to make it visually appealing. Let's start with navbar class. We set the display to flex, allowing easy positioning of navbar items. Set the width 100% to make the navbar full width of the container. and height of the navbar to 60 pixels. We also add padding inside the navbar, 0 for top and bottom, 3% for left and right. To distribute items evenly along the main axis, we set justify content to space between, and to centers items vertically within the navbar, we set align items center. We set z-index to 10, to ensure navbar appears above other elements. Next, set position fixed, top to 0, so the top edge of navbar at the top of viewport, and set left to 0, to ensure the left edge of navbar at the left viewport. Then, we set the background color to variable of yellow color. Let's see what our styling looks like in the browser. As you can see, the navbar spans the entire width of the viewport, with the logo and menus positioned neatly at the left and right edges. Next, let's styling the menu in our navbar. Let's back to CSS file. We set the menu items to use flexbox layout, allowing them to align horizontally. Set the gap to 5 pixels, so there is a gap between each menu item. Next, let's style the buttons within our menu. So, in the CSS file, we targets both the user and card buttons. We sets the dimensions of each button to 50 pixels wide and 30 pixels high. We remove any border around the buttons for a cleaner look. We add a rounded border radius of 20 pixels to each button. We also set the background color to white and the text color to font color variable. Then, to indicate the buttons are clickable, we changes the cursor to a pointer. Let's preview our changes in the browser. Notice how the buttons now have a clean, uniform appearance in our navbar. To enhance interactivity, let's add a hover effect to our buttons. We change the background color to a defined blue color when hovered, and changes the text color to white when hovered, ensuring readability and contrast. Let's see the hover effect in action on our buttons. Notice how they change color smoothly when we hover over them. Next, let's style the cart count number inside the cart button. In CSS file, we target the cart count number inside the cart button. We set the background color to a blue color for visibility. Add a slight border radius to soften the edges of the cart count area by set to 10 pixel. Add padding inside the cart count area for spacing. And add 5 pixel margin to the left of the cart count to separate it from the button. We also set the font size of the cart count number to 10 pixels for readability, and sets the text color to white for contrast against the blue background. Let's view our changes in the browser. Notice how the card count now stands out and complements our button styling. Now, we've completed creating our navbar. It's time to move on to our product section. Let's go back to our HTML file. We'll start by adding a div with the class name container. This container will have two parts, the main part and the cart part. So, here we set the div with class name as container. Let's move this comment structure inside the container, to make it more easy to understand the code. Inside the container, we add a div with the class name as main. This will be the main section where our products will be listed. Inside the main section is the part of list of product. So, we add another div with the class name as product wrapper. This will wrap around individual product items. Next, we add div with class name as product, as represent an individual product. And data product equals 1 is used to uniquely identify the product. Then, we add an image of the product with the class name as product img. With the source of the image is from our images folder. We also add alternative text for the image. Next, we add title of product using h3 tag with the class name as product title. To show price of product, we use paragraph tag to display it, and name it with the class name product price. Next, we add button to allows users to add the product to their cart. We name the class button as add to cart. Let's save our changes and see what it looks like in the browser. You'll see the container with our first product displayed, complete with an image, title, price, and an add to cart button. Now that we have our first product added, let's continue by adding more products to our list. Let's add our second product. We'll copy the code for the first product and make some changes. For class product, we change the data product attribute to 2. We change the image source to images smartphone and the alt text to black smartphone. Update the product title to black smartphone. For product price, let's change the price to $364.0. Let's save our changes and see what the second product looks like in the browser. You'll see the new product listed alongside the first one. Next, let's add more products by repeating the process. We'll add products 3 to 8. Let's set the data product attribute to 3. Update the image for the smartwatch. And alt text to soft pink smartwatch. Change the product title to soft pink smartwatch. And we also update the product price. Next, we add for fourth product. Let's set the data product attribute to 4. Update the image for the smartwatch black. And alt text to made black smartwatch. Change the product title to made black smartwatch. And we also update the product price. We continue to add the fifth product. Let's set the data product attribute to 5. Update the image for the headphone. And alt text to glossy black headphone. Change the product title similar with the alt text. And we also update the product price. Next, for the sixth product, we set the data product attribute to 6. Update the image for the laptop. And alt text to ash gray laptop. Change the product title similar with the alt text. And update the product price for laptop. Next, for the seventh product, we set the data product attribute to 7. We change the image to smartphone purple. And alt text to purple smartphone. Update the product title similar with the alt text. And update the product price for purple smartphone. Lastly, we add last product. We set the data product attribute to 8. We change the image to earphone. And alt text to white earphone. Update the product title similar with the alt text. And update the product price for white earphone. Now, let's save our changes and see what all our products look like in the browser. You'll see a total of 8 products, each with different details, neatly displayed in our product section. Now that we've added our products, it's time to style them to make our page look more appealing. First, let's start styling the container. In our CSS file, let's target the container. We set the display to flex, allowing its child elements to be laid out in a flexible way. And add top margin of 60 pixels to create some space from the top of the page. Next, let's style the main section. We set the flex grow to 1. This allows the main section to grow and take up available space. Set the height, max content. Then, add horizontal padding of 3% on both sides. And add right margin of 350 pixels to create space for the cart section. Let's save our changes and see what it looks like in the browser. You should see some margin at the top and padding on the sides. However, the styling is still basic. Next, let's continue by styling the product wrapper. To make the product wrapper's grid, we set the display to grid. Next, we create a responsive grid layout with columns that fit the available space, with each column being at least 200 pixels wide. Then, we add a gap of 1.2 rem between grid items. Now, let's style individual products. First, we set the product container to a flexbox. We set the flex direction to column, to align items vertically. Set the background color to a gray shade. And we round the corners of the product container to 8 pixels. Next, add padding inside the product container to 10 pixels. Then, add a subtle shadow to the product container for a 3D effect. Next, let's style the product images. To ensure the width of the image is automatic, we set the width to auto. We set the height of the image to 150 pixels. Set the object fit to contain, it ensures the image fits within the container without cropping. Next, set the object position to center, so, center of the image within its container. And we add a bottom margin to 10 pixels. We also round the corners of the image by set border radius to 8 pixels. Then, we set a background color to highlight the image. Let's save our changes and see what it looks like in the browser. You should see a well-styled product section with nicely formatted images and product containers. Next, let's continue styling the product title. Let's set the font size of the product title to 16 pixels, making it more prominent. Let's save our changes and see what it looks like in the browser. The title size is now better and more readable. Next, let's style the product price. We set the font size of the product price to 14 pixels, making it slightly smaller than the title for a visual hierarchy. Let's save the file. The price text should now appear a bit smaller than the title, giving a nice visual distinction between the two. Now, let's style the Add to Cart button. Let's start by remove any default border from the button, by set the border to none. Add vertical padding of 5 pixels to the button. Next, we set the vertical margin of 10 pixels to create space around the button. Then, we set the background color of the button to blue color that we already defined. Next, we round the corners of the button to 20 pixels. Set the text color to white. Lastly, we change the cursor to a pointer when hovering over the button, indicating it's clickable. Hit save and check out how it appears in the browser. The button should now stand out with its bold blue background and rounded edges. This design not only makes the button visually appealing, but also clearly indicates its functionality as a clickable element. To make the button more interactive, let's add a hover effect. We change the background color of the button when hovered to yellow color. Then, we change the text color to black. Let's commit these changes and take a look in the browser. When you hover over the button now, you'll see the background color transition to yellow and the text color change to black. This dynamic effect makes the button more engaging and gives users immediate feedback that the button is active and ready to be clicked. Now that we've completed the product section, let's move on to creating the cart section. This will allow users to see the details of the items they've added to their cart. We'll start by adding a container for the cart and then build its structure step by step. Let's create a div element with the class name cart, which will serve as the main container for the cart section. Next, we add h3 element with the class name cart title, which will display the title your cart. Let's apply these changes and preview them in the browser. You should see the title your cart appearing on the right side of the viewport, indicating where the cart section will be. Next, let's add a div for the cart list. This will eventually hold the list of products added to the cart. For now, we'll leave it empty and populate it with JavaScript later. Now, let's add horizontal line with the class name divider to visually separate different sections within the cart. Next, we'll add the cart action section, which will hold the price calculations and checkout button. Inside this cart action, we add div with the class name cart amount and ID total price, containing the subtotal price of products inside the cart. We add span element inside this cart amount to label the subtotal. Then, we add another span with class name is cart amount value to displays the initial subtotal value. Let's commit these changes and take a look in the browser. We can see a section labeled subtotal with an initial value of $0 below the horizontal line. Next, let's continue to add the second cart amount section for tax. By add div with the class name is cart amount and ID is tax, containing the tax section. Then, we add span element to label the tax section. And, we add span with classes cart amount value to display the initial tax value. Now, let's add the third cart amount section for the total. We add div with the class name is cart amount and ID is final price, containing the total section. Then, we add span element to label the total section. And we add cart amount value to display the initial value of total. Finally, let's add the checkout button. We add a button element with the class name cart btn, which users can click to proceed to checkout. Let's save the changes and open the browser to see the updates. You should see the subtotal, tax, and total sections with initial values of $0, as well as a checkout button. These sections will eventually display dynamic values based on the items in the cart. Now, we've successfully set up the structure for our cart section. So, let's start styling them. Let's start by styling the cart. In our CSS, let's target the cart class. We set the cart to use Flexbox layout for flexible and responsive design. Next, we make the cart items will be arranged in a column. Then, ensure space is evenly distributed between cart items. To ensure the cart will take the full width, we set width to 100% and set the cart's maximum width to 350px. With the cart's height is set to the full height of the viewport minus 80px. Next, we fix the position of cart in the viewport. By position the cart at the top of viewport. And the cart will be 20 pixels from the right side of the viewport. Next, the background color of the cart is set to a blue color. The text color inside the cart is set to white. Then, we round the corners of the cart by set the border radius to 8 pixels. And we add a margin of 60 pixels from the top. Lastly, we add 1% padding inside the cart. Let's now check it in the browser. You can see the cart section is now styled on the right side of the viewport, looking organized and distinct. The background color is blue, following with the white text. Next, let's continue styling the cart title. We add space between letters in the title for better readability by set the letter spacing to 1. And set the line height to 2 for the title, making it more spacious. Let's refresh the browser and observe the title. Notice how the title has a nice spacing and line height, making it stand out. For cart list, let's add some space for the cart list on CSS file. We'll style this part later. Now, let's continue to style the divider part. We start by remove the default border of the divider. Then, we set the height of the divider to 2 pixels. And for the color of the divider, we set to a gray color. Check the browser again. You should see a clean line separating the cart list and the cart actions. Next, let's continue to styling the cart action. We add margin of 10 pixels at the top of the cart action section. Then, let's continue to style the cart amount. This will apply to the 3 different IDs that we created before. We use Flexbox layout to arrange items in the cart amount section. We set the width to 100% to full width of the cart. We also space the items evenly across the width. Next, we set the font size of the text to 14 pixels. And we also set the line height to 1.5 for better readability. Let's view it in the browser. Notice how each cart amount section now looks balanced between the labels and the values. Next, let's add more styling for the ID of final price. We make it more appealing by make the font weight of the final price to bold, and change the color of the final price to a specific font color. Let's see the difference on the browser. We can see the final price is more highlighted than others. It makes more easy to spot the final price. Finally, let's style the checkout button. We set the width to 100%. Then, we remove the default border of the button. We add padding of 10 pixels inside the button, and add margin of 10 pixels at the top and bottom of the button. We also set the background color of the button to red. And set the text color inside the button to white. We make the font weight of the button text bold. And add space between the letters of the button text by set letter spacing to 1. Then, we change the cursor to pointer when hovering over the button. Refresh the browser. The checkout button should now look prominent and clickable, with a vibrant color that stands out. Now, we already done create the cart section. Next, we will use JavaScript to make the functionality of our cart.